Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our speech presentation. So, grade 8th had done an expedition in which they have read a novel, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, and a book, World War II. They went to Partition Museum for their field trip. After all this, they have prepared a speech. Are we really free to choose? All these speeches that you are going to hear today are written by themselves. So, it's their first time for the speech, so keep patience, don't make funny faces, and put your phones on silent. So now, at first, we have Sarab Prakash. He is going to explore the subtopic power of resistance under Are We Really Free to Choose?
Hello everyone, my name is Sarab. I'm going to be presenting the subtopic. Resistance is the first step towards change and free will. Without it, oppression continues unchallenged. Under the topic, power of resistance. Let me tell you a short story. Imagine you're a woman in Saudi Arabia, a country where for decades women were forbidden from driving. What would you do in this situation? Would you choose to ignore this injustice, or would you choose to resist? Some women chose to resist. They got behind the wheel and drove through the streets of Riyadh in protest. All of the women were later arrested and silenced, and for the next 21 years nothing happened. Until in 2011, a woman named Manal al-Sharif did not want to continue accepting this as a reality. She launched Women to Drive campaign, a campaign where she tried to convince women to reclaim their right of driving. She later posted a video of herself behind the wheel gaining global attention, but instead of change, she got arrested. This story proved that persistency can change an entire nation. Take Nelson Mandela example. He fought many years against the racial injustice in South Africa, where he had to endure imprisonment and reckless opposition. Although this ultimately led to the end of racial discrimination and the establishment of a democracy, history proves that with persistency and a goodwill, you can change an entire nation. But not always persistency can succeed. Like in the novel The Boy in Striped Pajamas, Jewish people had to suffer immensely under Nazi rule. They longed for freedom. Although their resistance did not work out, they still had to face oppression and injustice that even decades later still affect Jewish communities. Similarly, in Nazi Germany, people resisted, such as the members of the White Rose movement. Although their actions did not stop the Holocaust, they still made a difference in saving lives and challenging dictatorship. Even small acts of resistance matter, like Shmuel's and Bruno's friendship. Although they are not loudly or worldly recognized, they still make a difference in resisting the division and hatred. The problem is that many people don't want to do anything. They expect others to take actions while they just sit back and do nothing. This mindset is very dangerous because every small act matters, like standing up for bullying when the pressure is peer, speaking up when you witness injustice rather than staying silent, and breaking free from family or social expectations to pursue your own dreams. Because every small act against unfairness brings us closer to the right thing to do and to change and to choose freely. Thank you.
Now, Jaijagkaran is going to come and he's going to explore the subtopic how fear guides our choices under Are We Really Free to Choose?
Good afternoon. Today I will be speaking about fear, how fear guides our choices. Do the thing you fear and the death of fear is certain. Ralph Waldo. This quote highlights an important truth, that fear has the power to control us, but only if we let it. Fear often forces people to surrender their choices of making them feel powerless. However, when individuals or nations confront their fears, they develop resilience. In the Ukraine-Russia war, Russia wants to take over Ukraine, but Ukraine has overcome the fear and are fighting back. By facing their fear, Ukrainians have found courage and unity, proving that fear loses its grip when confronted. But this is just one example. Throughout history, fear has dictated the level of individuals and societies. Many people surrender to fear, whether it is the fear of failure, rejection, or the unknown. Same happened during World War II. Soldiers in Nazi Germany follow orders, but are scared to choose. if it is right or wrong, because they could get shot. In the novel Grade 8 has read The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, Bruno's grandmother dislikes Hitler and doesn't agree his evil doings, but is too scared to say out loud. Many Germans at that time didn't have the guts to stand up because of fear. Now in Afghanistan, many girls want to go to school and learn, but the Taliban has banned schools for females. The girls are in fear because they can't choose what they can and cannot do, and how fear has guided their choices. All these stories bring us back to our topic that fear guides our choices, and most of human beings have surrendered to it. Even though we have some stories of resistance and overpowering of fear. For example, Mahatma Gandhi's resistance to exploitation of the colonial rule, or Nelson Mandela's fight for equal rights and racial discrimination, shows us that some individuals in the history choose to fight their fear, and they have won in the end. But majority of the people have already surrendered to the evil of the world. There are also everyday examples of how fear limits will. For example, when a student agrees with their friends, but secretly disagrees just to avoid conflict. Or a student may want to ask a question, but keeps their hand down, just afraid of being laughed at. People even change because of fear. For example, a person avoids pursuing a dream career because they are afraid of failure. Fear has corrupted into people's minds and makes them lose decisions. Even when choices do exist, fear makes it useless. Throughout history, back in Nazi era to now in Afghanistan, fear has shushed people. Fear isn't only in politics or war, it is always happening around us. It stops people from being themselves, speaking up or taking risks. If we let fear take over us, we become jail-locked in our own minds. So the next time fear brings you back, ask yourself, are you doing this? Are you making a choice, or is fear making it for you?
So now Nina is going to come and she is going to explore the subtopic how privilege guides our choices under are we really free to choose.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mia, and the topic is: are we really free to choose? The subtopic that I'll be touching today is how privilege guides our choices. I believe that the freedom to make choices isn't the same for everybody. Some choose between options; others choose between survival and suffering. For example, a woman in America can drive, get good education, and marry the partner of her choice whenever she wants. But in India, not all women have access to good quality education or the freedom to choose their life partner. If they marry against their family's wishes, they risk of being shunned. Many are pressured to marry at a certain age, and if they don't, society labels them as left or women. So not everybody has the same choices. Some have more privilege, while others are being trapped in poverty, war, or oppression. This has gone throughout history and continues today. Wealth and privilege allowed some to escape Nazi rule, while the poor were left with no option. Also in the novel The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, we explore how privilege guides the cause of our life. The two characters who share the same birthday, Bruno and Shmoo, who both love to play and laugh, but both have very different destinies. Bruno's a Nazi, while Shmoo is a Jew. Bruno has a good environment to live in. He can choose what he wants to eat, what he wants to wear, and what games he wants to play. While the other one, the Jew, struggles to fit 2 square meals per day because he's forced into a concentration camp controlled by Nazi soldiers and Hitler. We can clearly see that privilege is not a universal right, but more of a luxury that very few have. Leaders claim that people of their respective countries have freedom of choice, even if they don't have the financial, social, and academic steps. But thoughtful reflection and deep analysis of the state of affairs in the world force us to believe otherwise. Even in everyday life, we can see how privilege guides our choices if we talk about education and career opportunities. A wealthy student can go to private schools, get tutors, and study abroad, while poor students struggle with unfunded schools and fewer opportunities. Some children inherit family businesses or political power, while others must work hard just to survive. As far as healthcare is concerned, in developed countries, people can afford quality healthcare, while in poorer regions, even basic medical care is a struggle. A rich person can pay for life-saving treatments, while a poor person may suffer due to lack of resources. Also, talking about legal and political privileges, a wealthy individual can hire top lawyers to avoid harsh punishment, while the poor may be unjustly imprisoned due to lack of support. The people who can freely choose is a privilege that not many have. Privilege depends on power, circumstances, and wealth. For example, a child born in a rich family has more freedom than one born in poverty. People who live in peaceful and safe countries have more choices than people who live in a war zone. So the question is, if privilege decides the choices we get to make, then what are we doing for the ones who don't have it? Thank you.
Good afternoon, my name is Sofia, and I'm going to be presenting the concluding speech on the guiding question, are we really free to choose? Do we really have the power to make our own choices, or are we simply following a path set for us by others? We are way more free than the people in Nazi Germany. This is clearly visible. But we are just under a different form of control that is invisible to most people. It controls our choices, which prevents us from making real choices, resisting us from real freedom. If you ask me, are we really free to choose? I would personally say no. But the government of every country claims something else. According to the government, we are free to choose, which isn't really true. Since decades, the government has controlled our choices through stuff like propaganda, paid news, and physical force. They control our knowledge, like what we learn in school, what is shown in the media, and what or how much information about the actions of the government, for instance, war, is shared. As Aung San Suu Kyi says, the only real prison is fear, and the only real freedom is freedom from fear. Fear determines the choices of millions of people around the world, who have the fear of speaking up, having their own choice, choosing morality, and showing resistance. This shows that fear is the driving force of our choices. We have certain examples of resistance, as Aung San Suu Kyi, a democratic leader and Nobel Prize laureate, chose to resist military rule in her country. She was born on the 19th of June 1945 in Myanmar, was educated in India, and later on at the University of Oxford. In 1990, she returned to Myanmar, fought elections, and her party, NLD, standing for National League of Democracy, won by a landslide. However, the military refused to accept the results and placed her under house arrest for 15 years. Despite international pressure, the military kept her in detention. In 1991, she was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for her nonviolent struggle for democracy. She was seen as a global symbol of peaceful resistance. She was finally released from her house arrest in 2010. In 2015, her party, NLD, won a majority in elections, and she became state councillor, similar to Prime Minister of Myanmar. In 2021, the military staged a coup, overthrowing her government and arresting her again. Despite challenges, Aung San Suu Kyi remained a symbol of resistance. Similarly, everyday life can help us decide, are we really free today? A person in a democratic country can speak freely, but social media algorithms control what they see, shaping their opinions. In some places, speaking up against the government can lead to imprisonment or even death, showing that not everyone has the same level of free speech. We feel free when we use our phones and the internet, but companies track our every move, influencing our choices without us even realizing it. George Orwell, in his novel 1984, written in 1948, predicted that the government is going to use surveillance to control citizens. They are doing exactly that. The government uses surveillance to monitor citizens, meaning that even in free societies, privacy is not guaranteed. Throughout history and in our daily lives, we see the same pattern. The choices we make freely are often shaped by forces beyond our control. Governments, media, peer pressure and societal norms. From propaganda in Nazi Germany to modern-day advertising and social media trends. Our decisions are constantly influenced without us even realizing it. The real question is, can we ever be truly free? True freedom isn't just about having options. It's about having the knowledge, awareness, and courage to question the system that shapes our decisions. Whether it's choosing what to wear, what to believe in, or even who to support in politics, we must ask ourselves, is this really my choice or is someone else making it for me? So next time you find yourself believing in a news story, following a social media trend, or making a life decision, stop and think, is this what I really want or is this what I've been led to want? Only by questioning, learning, and thinking for ourselves can we ever come close to true freedom. Thank you.
I'm very impressed. This is my first time seeing you all speak under these circumstances, maybe since the beginning of the year when we had the induction camp and had everybody up and giving presentations. I can see the amount of work that went into this. It's very obvious, and I love the weaving of all these different things that you've learned, from the boy in the striped pajamas and the history of World War II to modern examples. It was very interesting to listen to and very well done. I like the subtopics and the final conclusion. There was a lot in there to think about. So well done. Everybody spoke extremely well, and it was obvious the amount of work and preparation that went into it. So congratulations.
Yes, same with me also, because yes, during induction camp we had an experience, because that time also you got a chance to make some presentations. So from then, that time to now, it's a very good improvement, and congratulations to all of you, and also to the teachers that you see you have really worked hard with them. And yes, the research that you have done and how you have put all the things together, it shows that you have understood the things. And it also brings me to this, that yes, this concept of expedition is working very well with us and you guys are enjoying it. And finally, at the end, we are able to see a very live product of it, that yes, you know, this is something that they have learned. That's where you're able to make connections between the historical things and the modern things. So well done, and congratulations.